Check, please.
Welcome back to Everything Money. Paul, there's this interesting article where Chinese regulators they're starting to work with the U.S. about opening up audits, maybe disclosing more information. Companies like Alibaba, Baidu, JD, Beijing is starting to be a little more willing.
Oh, that's interesting.
About letting us in. And since we are avid holders of Alibaba and always interested in some of these Chinese companies, especially since they're in a value investing spot, we'd like to take a look at them in this video and get Paul's take on these new progressions with Chinese companies. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I would like everybody who's new to the channel to go back and look at our past videos of Baba and China and hear what I said. I sat there and said, I have a hard time believing that China will want to close the door on Western money. I really have a hard time believing that. This is a fast-growing economy that heavily relies on the West for more and more business. The idea, again, I wasn't 100% sure on it, but I was like, listen, I just have a hard time believing that they're going to slap the face of the West. And the SEC was sitting there saying, listen, if you want to list here, that's fine, but we need to be able to get more auditing going on so we make sure the books are up to snuff. And now all of a sudden, China's saying that. Okay, we'll talk. Great. Is it over and done with? Not necessarily. Baba's a big holding of ours. It's fallen a lot. I've bought it along the way down. Unfortunately, I was going to buy more shares last week. I had put set for $100 a share. And then all of a sudden, one day, China comes out and announces this, and the stock went from 76 to freaking 105. And I was like, oh, I was one of the few people out there who was like annoyed by it, right?
Join the club.
Yes, we were both annoyed by this. And we're like, oh no. Now, China is absolutely going to be the biggest economy in the world at some point. This does not mean the U.S. is going to fail. We are such a large country. We have such a high per capita income that it's not possible for us to continue that growth like China. China's recession is a 5% growth. Our recession is a negative growth. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's how different China is than us. They have the fastest growing middle class in the world. And at some point, China will take a backseat to India. And at some point, India will take the backseat to some other country. My guess is somewhere in Africa or the whole region of Africa that's going to have to grow. Because guys, the poorer and poorer an area is, the faster and faster it can grow. Just like companies, the smaller a company is, the faster it can grow. My company, Crossroads Group, will grow much faster than Amazon, right? It has to. We don't do $500 billion a year in revenue. We can grow much faster than they can. Okay, so with China, let's stop worrying about China being the end of the U.S. It's not going to be. It's going to make the U.S. better. And the next country will make China and the U.S. better and make the world better. Just like Great Britain was the powerhouse 100 and some years ago, and now it's still a great country and still a great economy. It's just not number one in the world. Okay. China's doing the smart thing. Let's open our door to auditors, because at the end of the day, they want people to trust China. They need people to trust China. For China to be a powerhouse economically, there has to be trust in the numbers, trust in the dealings. Everything has to be very trustworthy.
I remember I had a hard time grasping how fast China is building. The concept of how many cities in America have 1 million people versus China. It's astronomical.
What's the number?
I have to look it up, but I remember I used to teach science at OSU. In the United States, Mo, they have not built a coal-burning power plant in 40 years. In China, as of last fall, they're building 43 more coal-burning power plants. I mean, it's just astronomical. You can't even grasp how many people are over there.
I just want to make note, though, really quick, that science at OSU is like only a chemistry set in 3rd grade. It's not very good science anyhow, so...
OSU?
I love how Tim clapped. Tim's a big OSU fan. I went to Michigan.
I forgot the Michigan thing.
Yeah, you really didn't realize that?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, Seth is right. And by the way, I don't know why people still make coal-producing...
well, they're behind 2 decades. I mean, they're behind 2 decades, so...
So Mo and I talk about China all the time. I always had apprehensions in the past. If you watch other past videos of Baba, we got very lucky. I was apprehensive about Baba at 320, not because of 320, because of the numbers. And then it fell to 200, and I was like, wait a second. And then all of a sudden, Charlie Munger starts buying it. And I thought to myself, great, if he trusts the numbers, I trust the numbers. I didn't care what Charlie Munger thought the company was worth. I have no idea what he thinks the company's worth. But then it fell to 150, then 100, then 75. Did it get as low as like $65 or something?
Probably intraday, maybe for a little bit. Yeah, maybe.
Seth, we have a chat specifically in our Everything Money community for China stocks and Alibaba. Specifically for China. This is our software, guys. And if you watch any of our videos, you see the software. This is the most important part of our software right here. This and the stock analyzer tool. Stock analyzer tool allows you to go in, make assumptions on the growth of a company for between 1 and 20 years, and it'll tell you based on your assumptions what you should pay for the company. The community chat right here, you can go in here and talk to all 6,000 people and say, hey, what do you guys think about Baba? What do you think about all these Chinese stocks? And they have that's the most active chat, I think. I mean, that's one of the most active chats. The day trading chat's probably the most active, but that's one of our most active chats because it's hot in the news. And the great news is when the stock's falling, you don't see people running for the hills here. They're like, oh my God, the stock is falling. This is great. What have we missed? Anything? When a stock is falling, your job is to be calm and reassess from an unbiased perspective. That's what we have here. And all of this software, you can also chat on your mobile phone. All of this is available on your mobile phone, all available for only $1 per day. That is it, guys. $1 per day, peace of mind. The chat alone is worth it, but you get all of these things in addition to it, $1 per day. If you can increase your returns by 1 or 2% a year or decrease your losses by 1 or 2% a year, this will pay for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, towards your retirement. Sign up on everythingmoney.com, or if you're international, patreon.com. You can get on patreon.com and sign up. $1 per day, no brainer, guys. Go do it. I'm picking on Baba because I just love Baba as a company. I love their metrics. There are other great companies out there. We did an interview with Manish Pabrai. He sold his Baba holdings to do tax loss harvesting and bought Tencent instead. Not Tencent Music, Tencent, the 5-ticker. Tencent Holdings. So I just think the world us in the US have to realize that the world out there is growing. It's growing faster, and that's okay. And we're going to have to invest. And that's why our software is getting more and more international exchanges every single quarter. Every 2 or 3 months, we add more and more exchanges. We're going to add more and more data from other countries around the world because the world is growing. Globalization, technology makes the world grow much faster.
You were talking about the growth. Yeah. So in America, there's somewhere between 12 and 15 cities that have over 1 million people in them. There are 20 cities over 10 million people. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. So when you say it's inevitable that China's going to be, it's just,
well, and then the other thing to look at, guys,
numbers.
Look at this. Let's look at GDP per capita. GDP per capita, US versus China. All right. So we have to remember, again, per capita. Look at US, look at China.
Which one's which?
Well, I mean, I think we know. US is here. China's here, right?
Gosh.
But as a percentage growth, and by the way, that's just nominal and PPP versus nominal. So let me get a better chart. That way it makes it easier because I don't want the... So guys, this is China's GDP per capita. I'm going to make this bigger. In 2000, it was $959 per person. It is now, in 2020, $10,400. That's growth of 10 times. What was the US GDP in 2000 versus today? So US GDP per capita, 2000. It was $36,334. Today, it's not even doubled. So China's got up 10 times per capita. We haven't even doubled. Are you telling me we're a poor country today? People just focus so much on growth. It's like, guys, we were 33 times larger than them in 2000 per capita. Now we are 6 times larger than them, 6.5 times larger than them. Okay. And that gap is going to close and close and close and close and close. It's just going to keep close. That's fine. But the good news is China's realizing that they're on the doorsteps of being an economic powerhouse. And you better believe that their actions of the last 20 years are going to keep getting better and better. You look at 25, 30 years ago versus today, how more capitalistic they are today. They will continue to become that way, in my opinion. It's just, I don't think it's a bad thing that the U.S. isn't the biggest economy in the world. And by the way, when I talk about biggest economy, I don't care about total GDP. They have 1.7 billion, 1.8 billion people, whatever the number in China is. I look at per capita income. At some point, their per capita income will be larger than ours. It probably won't happen will it happen in our lifetime? Maybe. It might be hard, but it might happen in our lifetime. Just be fine with it.
What does this mean for shareholders or people who are interested in Chinese stocks that have all been brutally beaten down?
If you have the stomach to buy some good Chinese companies with good cash flow and good balance sheets, I think if you have an outlook of 10, 20, 30 years, I think you'll do quite well. But don't put more in there than you're willing to risk. Like literally 1% of your portfolio on one. I mean, don't put a lot. I always tell people who watch the channel, put 80 or 90% of your money into market-based ETFs like S&P, NAD, things like that, and 10 or 20% into your specific stocks picks. That way you can have some fun along the way. That's just it. I mean, I think that, Mo and I are very pro BABA, and I hope I have BABA for 10, 15, 20-year holding. I just look at it going, I bought it at an average price of 155. I'm good. I'm down right now, but I'm fine with that.
Listing or delisting, you're not as worried.
No, I mean, by the way, if it gets delisted, Mo called Schwab, I called Merrill. They both told us the same thing. You'll get shares in Hong Kong. Worst case scenario is if you want to sell, it'll sell immediately, but getting the money back from Hong Kong might take a few weeks. Okay.
To be honest, thinking about like if I made another Chinese investment or foreign investment, I might just go buy shares on another exchange.
See, I'm not going to. You know why? Point. I want to sell covered calls.
That's true.
I sell my covered calls on BABA.
With the exception of that, I would do that.
Which can add, 3 to 6% a year in return. I kind of like that.
We will keep you updated on Chinese stocks. We hold BABA and we like it. And if it's a story change, we will reassess and let you know our thoughts. Make sure you subscribe, fondle a thumbs up. Join Mo trading this stuff in the morning because he can guide you in the Bid and Ask Nation. And we'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.